So the U.S. Coast Guard, multi-mission maritime service in one of our nation's 5 armed services. Our mission is to protect the public, the environment, U.S. economic interests in our nation's ports and waterways along the coast, on international waters, or in any maritime region as required to support and defend our national security. Okay. So right here, you'll see our overview of our missions. So maritime safety. I'm sure you see a lot of search and rescue on the news and whatnot, working your way down to boating safety. Maybe some of you have taken the general basic boating safety course offered by a local Coast Guard auxiliary. I know I did that when I was in high school, so kind of cool. Maritime security, that's a lot of the law enforcement focused operations, migrant interdiction, drug interdiction, mobility, ICE operations, keeping our waterways clear, environmental protection, so marine science, environmental response. That's if there's any oil spill, we're working with other national agencies to maintain a healthy environment. National defense, so port safety, security, anti-terrorism, and homeland security. So what makes the Coast Guard unique is that, or different from the other services, is that we fall under the Department of Homeland Security as opposed to the Department of Defense. So just a little bit different there. But for the most part, those are our missions. And we do have other things like intel, cyber, a much broader list, but these are just the more general mission sets. So the Coast Guard Academy at a glance. So we are the smallest service academy. As Mr. Williams said, we are the only academy that does not require a congressional nomination to earn an appointment. About 1,080 cadets enrolled currently, representation from 50 states and 20 nations, 38% female, so that number is on the up, and that was a pretty big goal for our superintendent. Average, so I'll share average scores this evening, and that's just what they are, is average. So average high school GPA of the current freshman class. That's kind of how we form our statistics moving forward. So 3.8 GPA. What that means is if you have a 3.6, a 3.4, like, it is still possible. Like I said, that's an average. So you need to consider some above and some below. And the same thing goes for SAT scores. So about a 630 to a 690 math. And it's right around there, maybe a little bit lower for the SAT verbal average score. Some of you may be wondering about the ACT composite score, about a 30. So the Coast Guard Academy will take SAT or ACT. There is no preference given on one or the other. We will consider both. It's really just based on how you test. Some students test better on SAT over ACT, vice versa there. So we do not take we don't require the writing score. You can submit it to us, but it truly means nothing. We focus on that math and that science. And if you do take the ACT versus the SAT, we'll simply transfer the score over. We'll just make it one equal playing field for anyone. So whether you take SAT or ACT, all scores will be converted to one level to make it pretty fair across the board. 80% varsity high school athletes, meaning 80% of our applicants or of our appointed students were varsity high school athletes. So it does not mean that you need to be a very strong athlete. We also have a pretty strong music program. So if you're in music, band, anything like that, to be a varsity athlete is certainly not a requirement. We are highly selective, about 16%. As I mentioned, no congressional nomination required. It is tuition free. So you apply, if you do earn an appointment, you come for 4 years, and then your service obligation or payback is 5 years. So you're coming for free, you are earning a $1,000 monthly stipend, as well as full coverage of medical benefits for while you're at the academy and for afterwards when you're serving. So 100% job security, of course. Flight school options. So we certainly do have opportunities to go to flight school. I'll say about 10% of the graduating class will earn a spot to flight school right off the bat. That's not to say that that's your only opportunity, not at all. It means you could graduate, do your first 2 years on a cutter, which is the more common route, and then within your first 5 to 8 years, earn a spot for flight school, meaning that you have a 5 to 8 year window of opportunity to go flight should you decide down the road that that's what you want to do. So certainly an option there to go fly. High job satisfaction. So our current retention rate at that 5-year service obligation mark is 85%. What that means is that when folks hit that 5-year mark, 85% of them are choosing to stay in versus separate into the civilian world, which is pretty impressive and representative of the Coast Guard as a whole. So reasons to attend the Coast Guard Academy. These are just some general ratings from US News, Forbes, Princeton Review, etc. Of course, if you're on here, you know, or you're pretty familiar with the service academies, especially on our last night of the event here. But you know, they're all pretty competitive schools, and it's pretty common to see high ratings like such. So we have 9 academic majors. You can see them here: civil engineering, electrical engineering, cyber systems, that's our newest major, mechanical engineering, naval arc and marine engineering, operations research, computer analysis, marine environmental science, management, and government. What's pretty unique about our majors are that although we only have 9 of them, each major, regardless of what major you're in, you will graduate with a bachelor's of science, which is pretty unique in that, say you take management or government, you're still going to get a bachelor's of science. And this is really because you're taking, regardless of what major, you're still taking those heavy STEM classes. And I'll talk about which classes you should be focusing on, you know, junior, senior year, but very STEM rich throughout the board. So leadership and professional development. So it's a 200-week curriculum. It's completely leadership driven. What it means is the cadet regimental system. So you come in as a freshman, also known as a swab. You come in, you learn how to follow, you learn how to work as a team. From there, you're taught how to follow and how to form that sense of leadership to become a leader on your own. So that down the road, when you become second class or junior cadet, junior level, or first class senior, you are then the leader, and you're same thing, repeating the role or swapping the roles. You are then leading the freshmen and the sophomores. So the honor concept, honor, respect, devotion, and duty. We do have a service academy exchange program. What this means is you can choose to spend 1 semester at another service academy. So say you attend the Coast Guard Academy and you say, hey, I want to check out Colorado Springs. You can apply and spend a semester at the Air Force Academy. Pretty unique program. And you can also spend, or all of your summers are spent in the operational fleet. So whether it's on board our training ship, the Bark Eagle, or out at a local sector doing law enforcement missions, whatever the case may be, each summer you're doing something different and you're out working alongside the actual Coast Guard active duty workforce, both officers and enlisted. So you're learning those hands-on roles, as well as being able to form that idea of what you want to do upon graduation, job specifics. So Coast Guard Academy Athletics. So we are primarily Division III, except for sailing, rifle, and pistol, which those 3 are Division I sports. So you can see right here, some of our varsity men's sports: baseball, basketball, crew, cross country, football, track. You can kind of work your way down the list. Same thing with the women's sports. So there is a requirement to participate in 1 athletic sport per season. Now, this does not mean that you need to be a varsity athlete by any means. You can certainly participate in club sports or intercompany sports like co-ed, kind of pickup games and whatnot. And as well as, since we are D3, you do have the opportunity to walk on. Now, if you are an athlete and would intend to play a sport at the academy, highly encourage that you get in touch with a sports coach at the academy, probably about now going into your senior year, so junior, senior year, just to allow you to have a relationship, a pre-existing relationship going into the application process. Although we are Division III, if you do have a relationship with a coach, they can pretty much just be another line of support for you. Any questions separate from admissions. So if you would intend to play a sport, I encourage you to reach out, and you can do that by going on to the cga.edu site, and there's a recruit me tab for athletics. Cadet activities. So you can see our list of activities here. If you were to come and you see that there's something that you're interested in that's not on the list, you certainly have the opportunity to try to create a club. All you have to do is pretty much create a game plan, be organized, and find an advisor. So whether it be a faculty member or a staff member at the academy, just someone to sign off, and just pretty much affirm that you have a game plan and you know what you're doing. You can certainly start your own club if you see something or have an idea that's not on this list. So a typical day at the academy, pretty similar to the rest of the academies if you were on previously this week. Wake ups at 6, there's a formation, breakfast, military training. So that could be like leadership training, guest speakers, marching, anything like that. Again, pretty similar to the rest of the academies. Morning classes. So of course that time frame each day is going to be specific to your schedule and based on your curriculum. So you might have some free time in between the morning and the afternoon class periods, depending on the day, depending on the semester. That's all based on you and your schedule. 12 p.m. formation. It's a family style lunch, meaning you all come together, you eat with your companies, kind of a nice way to get together between classes. There's a sports period from 4 to 6 p.m. Awesome opportunity to kind of get out of the classroom, put your books down for a little bit, expend some of that energy, spend some time with peers, and kind of have a little fun. Because right after that, you're going to have a buffet style dinner based on your schedule that day, a little bit more military training period within your company, and then the mandatory study hours. So again, similar to the other academies, that mandatory military training period, evening study hour, that's pretty much for everyone across the campus. And that's because everyone, regardless of the major you're in, everyone has a rigorous curriculum and everyone needs that downtime. This is pretty much, especially, if you're playing a varsity sport or a club sport, whatever the case may be, you all have a pretty rigorous curriculum. So with that, you need to master your time management skills. And a full schedule like this is pretty much how you enhance those skills to get everything you need to get done. And then lights out is at midnight with same thing the next day. So of course, after lights out, some students are still up studying if needed, but that's completely on you. So a very, very busy day, but that'll just make the weeks fly by. So leaders of character, you may be wondering what we're looking for in applicants, okay? We're looking for well-rounded individuals. So within academics, we want to see that you're taking challenging coursework. So some of the courses we're focused on are physics, calculus, and chemistry. So those STEM-rich courses. We want to see that you have a strong GPA, but we're also going to look at your transcript as well as school statistics that we get from your guidance counselor. And we're going to see, did this student challenge themselves? Did they take the highest level courses offered? Maybe they have a 3.9 GPA, but they did not take any advanced courses. We're going to see all of that. So truly encourage you to, give yourself a little bit of a challenge. I know it's going to be senior year, and maybe you want to enjoy yourself a little bit more, but it depends on how bad you want it. Go for those higher level STEM related courses. As far as leadership, we're looking for extracurriculars, also longevity within extracurriculars. So I don't mean junior year, go join everything just to put it on a resume, not at all. So we want to see that you've devoted your time to a specific organization or club and that you've really enhanced your leadership skills within, that you started, maybe started lower level and worked your way to a leader, whether it be Eagle Scout, Sea Cadets, JROTC, anything. Community service is a big one. I know a lot of high school activities have built-in community service requirements or programs, but we also encourage you to kind of do a little bit more on your own. And then same thing, employment. We recognize that a lot of folks do need to work. So whatever you have, you'll be encouraged to submit a resume. So it's an optional upload. So don't forget about this one just because it's not required. So submitting something like a 1 to 2 page resume will allow you to capture all of these extracurriculars, jobs, community service, any awards or honors, any specific leadership positions. Okay, you were on the baseball team, but tell us that you were the captain. That's a big deal, especially if you're peer elected or selected by your coach. Mention all of those details because you need to remember we're seeing a lot of applications cross our plates and a lot of them do look very similar. So with that, we need you to stand out to us, and utilizing something like the resume is an awesome opportunity to tell us everything that you want us to know when we're reviewing your application. Athletics, like I mentioned before, we want to see that you're involved, but you don't necessarily have to be a varsity athlete. Maybe you're involved in town or club sports, whatever the case may be. We want to see that you've, included fitness into your daily regimen, and as well as your ability to impact CGA. So, you were fit in high school, pretty good trend that you're going to be fit in college. So even if you're, like I said, if you're not a varsity athlete, just continue to exercise, for your own well-being. So AIM, I'm sure many of you have maybe applied to AIM for this year, some of you juniors. So AIM is the Academy Introduction Mission. So it's a one week intro program where students are fully immersed in academy life. So the program is run by current junior and senior or second class, first class cadets. So you're learning directly from folks who were in your shoes maybe 2 years ago. It's an intense and rewarding program. Students will be pushed to their limits and will test their mind, body, and spirits for 6 days. It's an awesome opportunity because it's not all about the Coast Guard Academy. Yes, we expect that you're somewhat interested in the Coast Guard Academy if you apply and accept a spot for AIM, but the program is driven on helping you to determine if CGA is a good fit for you. We understand it's a very overwhelming milestone in your life, selecting college, and we want to ensure that you're going where you feel it's right to be, not because maybe you have a parent who is in the Coast Guard or a similar branch or whatnot. We want to know that this decision is fully based on you and your desires and goals. So it's for rising senior. Like I said, it's a Sunday to Friday, just about a 1 week program, and it takes place. We have 3 1-week sessions, and they take place the last 3 weeks of July, going into your senior year. Application opens February 1st, and you'll be notified by May 1st. So for anyone wondering, for this year's AIM program, currently on, but we're not taking enrollment until the end of May, just to better assess the situation. Potential for cancellation, but nothing is confirmed as of yet. So the application process and requirements. Application opens in July. Traditionally, it opens around August 4th, which is the Coast Guard's birthday. But this year, we're looking to push up that date just to better track with the other academies. Typically, they open much more before us. So we're hoping to open it in July this year. I would advise you to continue to monitor the Academy admissions website to get that specific date. Keep on track with that. So we have an early action and a regular admission pool. Early action, typically our stronger applicant pool. Most folks who apply early are a little bit more squared away. Students may say, hey, you know what, my application is not going to get any better. I might as well submit it now. No, we certainly do not want you to rush into early action, because that's not how it works. Like I said, it's the stronger applicant pool. So we truly want you to feel confident with what you're submitting. If you feel that maybe you can take the SATs one more time, October, November, do it. If you feel that a little bit more time would better your file, then do it. There's no rush. So if you apply early, deadline is October 5th, you'll be notified on December 24th. And if you apply regular, January 15th, notification by April 1st. Regardless of if you go early or regular, you have until May 1st to say, okay, I'm in, or declining. And our outcomes are appoint, do not appoint, waitlist, and prep school. As Mr. Williams mentioned, we also have a prep school. It's called CGAS, Coast Guard Academy Scholars. And we use 3 schools for our Coast Guard Academy sponsored prep programs. We use Marion Military in Alabama, Georgia Military College in Georgia, and the Naval Academy Prep School, NAPS, in Newport, Rhode Island. So it's not a separate application. When you apply to the Coast Guard Academy, the admissions panel may feel that prep school is a better option for you than a direct appointment. So you'll certainly hear when you get your notification, direct appointment versus prep school. And of course, both are non-binding. Same thing for if you apply early versus regular. Early action is not to be confused with early decision in other schools. It's non-binding. One of our more common questions is if you apply early and get rejected, are you rolled into regular? And that is not the case. So that's why I really encourage you, don't submit early unless you're confident with it, because it's not like, okay, I'm going to submit, not get in, push it to regular, not how it works. It's risky. So truly put the time into determining what is best for you in the file that you're submitting. And the class of 2025 would report our day, or reporting in day, is the first Monday of July or last Monday of June. So this year it's scheduled for Monday, June 29th. And then you'll start your SWAB summer, which is a 7-week indoctrination program before the semester begins. Application requirements, it's 100% online. It's an independent application. 3 required letters of recommendation, 1 from your guidance counselor, 1 from an English teacher, and 1 from a math teacher. There is a 4th one, but it's just a little bit different. It's actually the physical fitness exam evaluation. In that, PFE is different than the other academies' CFAs. So ours is simply push-ups in 2 minutes, sit-ups in 2 minutes, and a 1.5 mile run. So very different from the other programs. You must do ours independent of the others. You can't take push-ups from the other and put them and use them for ours. It doesn't work like that. Very independent evaluation. Official high school transcript, SAT and SAT. Of course, with the current situation, all academies, all colleges are trying to determine what the plan will be for that SAT, ACT test score requirement. So please stand by on that. Of course, we understand that things are ever changing right now. Personal statements. So there will be 4 personal statements. The first 3 are going to be prompted, meaning we're going to tell you what to write about. Number 4 will be optional. So optional is opportunity. That is another opportunity in addition to the optional resume, where you can tell us anything you want us to know about you. And like I said, you really need to stand out, just because we're reviewing so many applicants with similar goals, extracurriculars, desires. And you will also be able to submit up to 2 additional recommendations. So say you have a JROTC instructor you'd like to write an additional rec for you, certainly encouraged. And another requirement is age 17 to 22, single, no dependents. Should be pretty straightforward there. So again, we have a few variations across all of the academies, but a lot of similarities. So like I said, I'm the West Coast admissions officer. All of our contact info will be sent through the chat later this evening, but thank you very much. And now I will pass this over to Lieutenant McCann from the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy.
Hi, everyone. Let me just get this set up real quick for you guys. All right, again, I'm Lieutenant McCann. I'm an admissions officer with the United States Merchant Marine Academy. And I handle all out west. So if you're in New Mexico or live anywhere west of the Mississippi or international, take down my name and number, and I can definitely take care of you and help you out through the long and exhausting application process and set you up for success. So this is our campus, the United States Merchant Marine Academy, or better known as Kings Point. We're small, just like the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. We're actually very close to each other. We are an 82-acre campus just outside New York City. So if you're actually standing on our grounds right there, you can actually see the Throgs Neck Bridge and the New York City skyline, including the Empire State Building on clear nights. This is our mission. Feel free to read it. I'm not going to re-say it for you, but when you are looking to apply to Kings Point, United States Merchant Marine Academy, we only have a certain amount of spots. We only have about 285 spots we can give out per year. We really want to make sure that everyone has a true understanding of what it means to come to United States Merchant Marine Academy. And as you can tell, if you went to any of the previous sessions this week, each academy is very different. Similar missions, but outcomes could be very different. Here is just a brief overview of the industry served by our graduates. As you can tell on this page, this is very heavily focused on the maritime industry. What we'll see in a little bit is that you do have an option to branch as an officer into any of the armed forces, including the Coast Guard, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps. Or you can go work in the private sector and really focus on the maritime industry. And a lot of, we'll see this. What graduates earn? You're going to earn three things from Kings Point. You're going to earn your Bachelor's of Science degree. You're going to commission as an ensign in the Navy Reserves. There's one caveat to that, which I'll get to in a second. And you'll also receive your U.S. Coast Guard license. And that will be either your third mate or your third assistant engineer license. And this is really dependent on the type of major that you choose. We have two departments, academic departments. We have the Department of Transportation, which has two majors, and the Department of Engineering, which has three. So if you're in the engineering department, you're going to receive that third assistant engineer. And if you're in the deck, you'll receive that third mate. So going a little bit more into the obligation, your service obligation post-graduation, this is the biggest differentiator between us and the other academies. Again, the majority of our graduates will work in the maritime industry for a minimum of 5 years, maintain that U.S. Coast Guard license for 6 years. You'll be doing that your last and final year as a senior at the academy. It's a long exam, and then you'll serve in the U.S. Navy Reserves for a minimum of 8 years. Or you can branch and go active duty into any of the armed forces, as you can see below. And it's pretty split, just so you guys know. Been seeing an increase of more people want to go active duty, since they do have similar missions or joint missions together. But about 30% will go active duty each year, and 70% will go work in the private sector in the maritime industry. Our academic curriculum, very experiential, very hands-on. And this also includes all the labs on campus, the nautical science labs, engineering labs, but also what we see here as well is the sea year training. This is where you actually go out to sea on a vessel for over 360 days as part of the requirement to receive your U.S. Coast Guard license. Again, here are the breakdown of our majors. As you can tell, very particular, very concise. So under the Department of Marine Transportation, again, that deck license, third mate, you have your marine transportation and maritime logistics and security. And then we also have the Department of Marine Engineering, again, engine license, and this will be marine engineering systems, marine engineering, and shipyard management. We do have minors, so I encourage you to go on our website as well to look at those. And as you can tell, we actually don't have many humanities types classes. So if you are looking to go to med school directly post-graduation, it is possible, but again, it's gonna be very difficult because you're not gonna have those traditional type of pre-med type of classes to successfully take the MCAT. When we're talking about sea year as well, this is just a little infographic of what it will look like. So as you can tell, everyone will be here on campus your freshman year as a plebe. And then starting your sophomore year through your junior year, you're going to see your classes split because half of your classmates will be out at sea while you're on campus. And when they come back, we'll flip-flop and you'll go back out at sea. The first time you're out at sea for a little over 100 days, you'll come back, do a deeper dive into your curriculum, and then we're gonna send you back out for a little over 200 days. Just more information about sea year. The average midshipman will actually pretty neat. We'll see 18 countries and circumnavigate the globe. So a great opportunity to, become a global citizen of some sort while you're doing your training, become an officer and a leader in the US. And as much as we love to give opportunity to explore the ports, But if you think of a vessel, when it's in port, it's not making money, so you'll be out at sea a lot. As a Federal Service Academy, we obviously will have a really strong regimental program as well. All students will be sworn into the U.S. Navy Reserve, the Merchant Marine Reserve program as midshipmen and wear Navy uniforms, even though we're part of the maritime industry. We'll develop fellowship and leadership skills. And just like the U.S. Coast Guard Academy, we'll get some more leadership opportunities within the companies and on campus to practice, make mistakes, and become a better leader, become more confident, self-aware. Now we can see a typical day at the academy. It's going to be very similar at any other academy. The only difference here, I would say, is we only have one mandatory meal, which is lunch. And then late night period, sometimes the commandant and superintendent will extend their, until you have to turn your lights out. Let's say you have to study for a midterm. They'll allow that. Again, athletics program, we are a Division III school except for sailing, which is a Division I. The only sport on here, it's listed here already, which is soccer for females, which will start in 2023. And again, most midshipmen will participate in a physical activity, a sport at some capacity. And being a Division III school, the recruiting and the competitions are at a different level. So let's say you're not on the varsity level or you're not a captain of your football team, but want to continue playing football, reach out to one of our coaches, get on their radar, can definitely help. Obviously, part of the maritime program, we're going to have a big waterfront program. So we do have our dock, our little marina on campus. And these are just the different types of vessels that you can gain additional endorsements and training time. General eligibility requirements, it's very similar. You're going to be a US citizen between the ages of 17 and 24. Be of good moral character and meet the physical security and suitability and character requirements. A little bit more in depth, we're going to have the academic requirement here. As an admissions officer, we're going to make sure that you have a sound and a good understanding of science and math. Science, we're ideally looking for physics and chemistry, both. These are both lab sciences. We actually will not really take into consideration earth science. So let's say your high school doesn't offer a physics class. Reach out to a junior college or even an online college as well to challenge yourself. Physical, we're going to have the CFA. The CFA is pretty much identical to all the other academies. It's a 6-event test, physical fitness test. Here at the United States Merchant Marine Academy, you have 2 official tries that you can give us. After the second try, your application will be disqualified. I always recommend going on YouTube and look at how to do the basketball throw and practice. Because let's say you can do a 7-minute mile run alone. This time when you do a mile run, it's at the end of the 6 events, so you're going to be a little more tired. You will need a nomination between your U.S. representative or senator. One caveat is we don't, unfortunately, accept any VP nominations to the academy. This is just a quick snapshot of our academics, those admissions tests. Again, keep your ears open to see with any changes, if any changes with SAT and SAT requirements going forward. When I'm looking at an application and looking at you as a candidate to the United States Merchant Marine Academy, this is what I'm looking at a high level overview. I'm looking at your academics, your transcript review. I'm going to look for those science and math classes first and foremost, and write those down. Then I'm gonna look at your high school class rank and really compare it to your school profile. those metrics that your school and guidance counselor will provide me. Then your ACT and SAT scores. Again, look out with any changes with that, maybe. And then your leadership adaptability. What type of capability and skills that I see that can really be fostered to make you a great officer. So I'm gonna look at your school official evaluations. These will come from your English, a math teacher, and a science teacher. Your athletic activity. Even if you don't participate in any sports on campus, maybe your school doesn't offer the sport that you're interested in, write down any sport or physical activity that you're doing. And then also non-athletic activity. So these obviously include all the in-school clubs that you can join, but also those leadership opportunities outside of school in your community as well. And when I'm looking at your clubs, having 10 to 15 clubs is great. You're well involved, but I also want to see the mastery in a club and your leadership development within that club. Sometimes it's quality over quantity. Again, the CFA, again, if you do the CFA for any other academy or you do it for us here at Kings Point, we can share those results. So again, the only caveat is here at Kings Point, we only accept 2 official tries. And you'll notice that we don't distribute or give out the scores. It's pass fail, or the minimum scores, I should say, because we want to see you as a candidate do your very best and challenge yourself. But if you have an idea, let me know your score. It can kind of give you where you are on the spectrum, what you can improve on. Nomination, start the process now. I saw in the chat box, looks like all the nomination processes are open for New Mexico. Again, you're eligible for at least 3. Unfortunately, that VP nomination won't work with us here at Kings Point. And apply to all of them. The United States Merchant Marine Academy, in regards to your representative, you can receive a nomination for Kings Point, at least from any district in your state, so any district in New Mexico, but do know every office will have its own standards as well. Application process, very simple. You're going to drive it as the student. We're going to require official high school transcripts, your test scores if available, your school profile. This will come from your school guidance counselor. Your candidate activities record. This is just the verification of all the clubs and leadership and sports that you told us. Your biographical essay. This is short. This is only about 500 to 600 words, but read the directions, read the essay prompt. It will make a difference. And then again, your school official evaluations. When the application is open May 11th, you'll have the opportunity to input the contact information for your guidance counselor and also your school official evaluations, your math, science, and English teacher. And from there, they'll be sent a link so they can fill it out for you. Real quick, if you want to take down my contact information, I'm sure Lieutenant Driscoll will show it at the end. So if you live in any of the states that are yellow, that will be me, Lieutenant Ryan McCam. Thank you for listening. I'm going to pass it back over to Lieutenant Driscoll at the U.S. Coast Guard Academy.
Thanks, Lieutenant McCann. So at this time, we can kind of just field any general questions that you have specific to whether it be the Coast Guard Academy or the Merchant Marine Academy. Now, of course, if you have questions for any other academies, we do have reps from each on the chat. So please let us know what you have. I'll share some info here, just some fun facts, and I know it's pretty important for all of the academies, but At this point, whether you're a junior, below, senior, whatever the case may be, I encourage you to do your due diligence, figure out who your admissions officer is. Obviously, for the most part, we're here, but send us an email, get in touch with us. Having that relationship with us throughout the process certainly helps. If we see your name, we want to be able to easily identify, oh, this is so-and-so, this is the high school they go to, this is what they're involved in. We want to better know our people so that we can best help you through the process. On another note, we encourage that it's students reaching out to us instead of parents. That's a big one. We want to know that you are showing that initiative to reach out and ask any questions. And of course, throughout the process, if you have any questions, we understand it's an overwhelming time. Please send us emails. You have access to our phone numbers. Call us. Ask any questions you may have. So I'm seeing a question here. Can you commission into a different branch after graduating from the USCGA? So if you graduate from the Coast Guard Academy, unlike the other academies, or unlike Kings Point, we do not have that opportunity to sort of cross commission. Now, certainly you can graduate, serve your 5 years, and if you were to want to do a transfer of services, you can kind of go down that route down the road. But in summary, you come to the Coast Guard Academy, you commission, you serve your 5 years as a Coast Guard Academy officer, and then kind of take it from there. So the opportunity certainly exists. It's possible for down the road if you have other career desires, but right off the bat, you're going to commission into the Coast Guard. So I'm seeing one directed towards Kings Point. Does time on the training ships count towards days of your C year? LT, can you answer that one for us?
Yes, of course. So Sawyer, I think it was, or to anyone else. So when I mentioned those ships with our waterfront program, the time on those ships do not count towards your days for C year specifically. Those are just additional training opportunities you can get at the Academy on vessels. Hope that answered it.
Thanks, LT. So another one, Miss Eliana, how do you sign up for the basic boating safety course through the Coast Guard Auxiliary? Great question. So if you pretty much just Google Coast Guard Auxiliary, you will be able to track down the flotilla, or another term for unit, Coast Guard Auxiliary unit near you. So they're across the country, different cities, different areas. So I would start off by searching U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary near me, and then from there you can find a contact. They're all really good about putting contact info. They're very active for the most part on their pages. So I would find a local flotilla, find a contact on that flotilla page, and then from there reach out. You could also go a different route and simply search Coast Guard Auxiliary Basic Boating Course near me, and you can certainly find one. But like I said before, I did one my sophomore year of high school, and it was pretty cool. It was a really good introduction to the Coast Guard because a lot of the auxiliary members are Coast Guard retirees. Not all of them, it's not a requirement, but a good handful of them are. So it's a pretty good networking opportunity, if anything, as well as being able to get that basic boating safety certification. And if you were to get something like that, same thing with any other safety or any other course, maybe you're a junior fire explorer, anything like that within your community, that's all fantastic. Those are all great points to put on your resume. That's that community rapport and being able to build your leadership within. So certainly if you have any of those, list them all in your resume. And I certainly encourage you to kind of go above and beyond and find these, pretty easily accessible opportunities near you. And for the most part, you can take courses at your local fire department for free. So certainly encouraged to do all of that.
There was a question about the United States Merchant Marine Academy and our summer program. Yes, sorry I didn't bring that up. Ours is called Indoctrination. It is about 17 to 18 days at the beginning of July. This year we'll be starting a little bit later, July 11th, excuse me. And it's your introduction not just to the maritime industry, but regimental life, getting that first haircut if you are a guy, your uniforms, how to put on a uniform. And then about the second or third day, you will also take your placement exams as well. So a lot going on. I would say most do not remember their indoctrination experience, but your parents will.
So I'm seeing a question here about any special warfare jobs within the Coast Guard. So we call it special ops, special operations. We have a lot of opportunities within like port security. So both on the active duty and the reservist side, we have MSST. So it's a Marine Safety and Security Team. Those are those more tactical operational units. A lot of them have canine dogs that, you know, they're sniffing containers at marine terminals. They're bringing their dogs. They're searching ships. They're searching all kinds of vessels. Those are like the tactical law enforcement type jobs. So we certainly have those across the country. Question here about AIM, the Coast Guard Academy's Academy Introduction Mission. That's the 1-week summer program. Will the AIM program likely happen this year? If so, how should I prepare? So if you earned an appointment, congratulations on that. At this time, it's kind of early to tell. As you know, the other academies have canceled their programs, as they've stated previously this week during their briefs. With everything going on with the current health crisis, it's kind of tough to tell. That's why we've slowed the enrollment or delayed the enrollment date until May 18th. So I encourage you to continue to monitor the Coast Guard Academy admissions site for AIM specific details. And if any change were to occur, we'll certainly communicate that with you if you did earn an appointment or a slot to AIM. So tough to gauge right now. I can't really give you a firm answer because I don't know. We're just kind of waiting it out and hoping for time to tell. So we'll certainly notify you what the determination will be. How do you apply for AIM? Great question. So there's an AIM tab on the Coast Guard admissions site. So whether you're applying for AIM or for the Coast Guard Academy, you create, it's like a student portal. It's called a Bears Den account. Bear is the Coast Guard Academy mascot. So you create a Bears Den account, and you do that by going onto the Coast Guard Academy website, clicking admissions, and then it's like, I think it says learn more info or you know, ask more, something like that. You certainly just fill in your information in it, like with an email, name, etc., and that creates an account for you within Bears Den. So once you get an account, email, login, that is your Bears Den account. Keep that info handy, and then once you log on to that Bears Den account, you will have the opportunity to apply for AIM. And then down the road, it's a separate application for the academy, but it's the same student Bears Den account, student portal. So that's how you get to the AIM and Coast Guard Academy applications. What else do we have for questions out there? LT, you see the question about Kings Point having
prep academies? Great question. Each year we do send candidates that we like to just foster their skills a little bit more, clean up the rough edges per se. We typically send them to the New Mexico Military Institute or the Marion Military Institute. But if you can also self-prep yourself as well. Northwestern, and there's a couple in Texas as well. Yeah, we have a few drill teams here at the Merchant Marine Academy. I don't know about the Coast Guard Academy specifically.
Yes, there's a drill team at the Coast Guard Academy. Just to follow up on the LT's point regarding the prep academy. So yeah, we certainly have the Coast Guard, the CGAS, Coast Guard Academy Scholars Program, which it's a Coast Guard Academy sponsored prep school program. But we also encourage self-prep as well. So say you apply, you're just a little bit short on test scores, maybe you need another math course to kind of get under your belt and better situate you in that department. We would encourage you to, if you know that attending the Coast Guard Academy is the only option for you, like that's what you want, then we would encourage you to, you know, take some time, whether it be at a community college or attending a Marion Military Academy, which is one of our prep schools, etc. NIMI, New Mexico Military Institute. Those are all great institutions to self-prep at. Obviously, they have a pretty common mission of preparing a lot of folks for service academies. So with that, you'll be in pretty good shape attending one of those schools as far as the schools that have the paramilitary, regimented Corps of Cadets. That allows you to certainly build on those leadership skills, as well as kind of creating your curriculum. With most of the academies looking for those STEM-based courses, you're going to be on track to better prepare for application the following year to any of the academies. So of course, self-prep versus academy prep, you're going to be paying out of pocket for self-prep. But if the resources allow and that's what you want to do, it's certainly a great option. Opportunities regarding band. So at the Coast Guard Academy, we certainly have options for band. Just like how I encourage you to get in touch with coaches if you intend to play a sport. If you send me an email or go onto the Coast Guard Academy website and search band or specific musical fields, you will find the band director's contact info. His email will come up. Same thing, if you're a junior or senior, you'd like to get in touch with the band director just for another line of support, means of communication, certainly encouraged to reach out to him. And like I said, if throughout the process, if you need more information, just certainly email myself or any other of the admissions officers. We'd be happy to get you in touch with specific individuals.
Yeah, for the United States Merchant Marine Academy, we do have a band. Just typed it in. It is competitive. Being so close to New York City, it's pretty neat. There's a lot of opportunities to participate in big events. They've won many awards. Since they do have a different schedule than other midshipmen, they actually all live in their own company. Happens to be called the company, band company. And again, yeah, just like Lieutenant Driscoll, definitely reach out to go online, find their contact information, and get on the radar and see what they're looking for.
Any other questions at this time? I know many of you were on earlier in the week, so we certainly appreciate, spending 4 nights with us for a lot of common information. So I hope it was worthwhile for you, but we can give it about 5 more minutes. If you come up with any other questions, please feel free to type them in the chat.
Could you like to give as people are thinking of some questions, sorry. As thinking of questions is some advice is do your due diligence, do your research, find the best academy. Once we are open to the public, go and visit. Get that feeling for each academy, what the culture is like. Because being here at the United States Merchant Marine Academy or the Coast Guard Academy, we're small. It's going to be very different than being at West Point or the Air Force Academy. We have a much larger class. Then again, nomination process, start early. Just like everything else in life happens, you have to work around some challenges. So start that nomination process now. There's very little that we as an academy can do if we want you without a nomination after next January 31st.
So a question here from Raymond, can you become a drill instructor after graduating from Kings Point or Coast Guard Academy? So for the Coast Guard Academy, no, not specific to a drill instructor. So a drill instructor those are the basic instructors at, say, Coast Guard Boot Camp that takes place Training Center, Cape May, New Jersey. So anyone who chooses to enlist through the Coast Guard attend that basic or boot camp training in New Jersey. So those are the drill instructors. Drill instructors are enlisted members, whereas if you attend the academy or any of the academies at that point, you graduate and you commission as an officer. So difference between enlisted and officer. So enlisted, they have specific job, or at least in the Coast Guard, specific job ratings, or also known as job specialties. And then if you have a certain job specialty and you decide you want to step it up on the leadership level, then you can certainly go for the training. And if you succeed, then you can become a drill instructor. But unfortunately, not an option for the officer side. So not an option after the Coast Guard Academy. But if you're looking for one of those tough and rigorous roles of within leadership, you will have the opportunity to submit and apply for an officer candidate school instructor program. So officer candidate school is an alternative commissioning source. So say you don't go to the Coast Guard Academy and graduate, but you still want to become an officer in the Coast Guard, you know, you attend another college or whatnot, you can attend a 17-week OCS, officer candidate school training program. So you go to any other school, you graduate, you get a degree, you get picked up for OCS through the recruiter's office, you attend 17 weeks. Well, those 17 weeks are fully instructed and led by OCS instructors. So those are officers. So yes, short story long, you can certainly attend the Coast Guard Academy, graduate, earn your commission as an officer, serve in the fleet for a few years, a couple jobs, and then decide that you want to become an OCS instructor. You can certainly put in for that. And of course, you're going to go through a good bit of thorough training to ensure that you are the right individual for the position, but certainly a similar type to the drill instructor role. So just a different level, but certainly an opportunity. Raymond, I am unsure what OTS is. I know OCS is Officer Candidate School. Lieutenant McCann, are you familiar with OTS?
Yeah, they are the same thing. They're just different acronyms for different branches.
Okay.
I believe OTS is Air Force. OCS is Army as well.
Okay, thank you. So Lieutenant Omar Castillo, he's been manning the chat for the Coast Guard Academy this evening. So he is an additional admissions officer, lives out in San Diego, California, so much more west than I am. But he's been with admissions for a good bit of time, and he just brought up a great point in the chat. And I'm sure all of the academies have them, but I encourage you to really do some digging, do some research on each academy website. You'll find cadet blogs, and of course, the cadets, that's the best source for information because they're going through it currently. Really encourage you to touch upon the cadet blogs to, maybe get a contact, ask some questions for them, send them an email, or simply read and learn from their experiences. Virtual tours, yes. LT, do you guys offer a virtual tour at Kings Point?
Yes, we do. Definitely reach out to me. Glad to set that up. We can also do group videos or do the general admissions. It's a little bit different. It's unfortunate we can't do it on person, but definitely start making that relationship with me if you're interested in applying early on. I'd like to know all of you and your names.
Yeah, and Coast Guard Academy has a virtual tour. It's always on our site. It's nothing you need to schedule or anything like that. Check out our website, uscga.edu, and then hit the admissions tab, and you can certainly see all of the virtual tour information. Of course, everything's kind of ever-changing right now with COVID, but typically or traditionally we have cadet programs, campus programs at the Coast Guard Academy. So you can come for a cadet for a day overnight, a one-day program. These admissions programs organized specifically for high school students to come experience, tour, have that one-on-one interface with active cadets. So you can find our schedule, our admissions calendar on the site, but of course everything's changing right now, so schedules are a little bit different, but traditionally you can find all that info, and I'm sure all the other academies have them as well, if you're looking to plan a trip and check out other academies.